Well, hey everybody. So we are coming back from doing some fishing, and I ate a muffin as well. How you doing, Brendan?
I am doing excellent. We, like you said, we were just doing some fishing.
You pulled a couple in.
Yep, exactly. We did not get skunked, which is, for us, that's about all we can ask for, you know?
Yeah.
We have a pretty low, the bar's pretty low.
Agreed. I did not pull anything in, but I did have a couple on.
Yeah, you had plenty of fish.
I'm pretty sure they were just chubs, but you know, I'll take what I can get. Some days that's all you're gonna get.
Fish is a fish is a fish, you know. But yeah, no, we had a really nice time, and we just got done running around a cemetery because we thought it had access to water.
Which would be where more fish live.
Right, yeah, because we've only been fishing for most of our lives, but not like, you know, some people have been fishing for like 50, 60 years.
Right.
But one of the things we have become pretty good at is the correlating the evidence of
water
and fish.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you find fish that you want to catch outside of water.
This is a fact.
And when you do find them, not a whole lot of sport.
Right. They're a lot easier. Once they're out of water, they're a lot easier to get a hold of. And
right.
It's just, it's just not very sporting,
as you say. Right. But so we got to bebop around a cemetery, which was always fun. There was a really cool mausoleum.
Yes. Stained glass on the mausoleum.
Yeah, stained glass on the other side of it was really, really pretty. And just some cool graves in general. And we noticed a lot about some of the names and everything. And just, I don't know. Anytime you get to just like putz around a cemetery, I feel like it's a good day. So
yeah, I agree. It's a good Sunday. So we've been kind of absent a little bit just because we've been so busy with a lot of stuff. So wanted to come back around, and one of the things I wanted to talk about today, it's something Brendan Bond and I have talked about privately because it was something that affected us when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
It continues to affect us. I'll kind of get into this, but we do only a little bit of true crime because we've always kind of felt a little weird about some of that because our real thing is folklore.
Mm-hmm.
But these things do intersect quite frequently. And again, like I say, with history people and ghost people often being one and the same, I think a lot of people that are attracted to true crime are also attracted to folklore. And I can understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I've been having a lot of thoughts recently because when we were in high school, there were two younger people. We knew them. I wasn't close in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I knew of them. I had several conversations with one of them, and it's remained their murder has remained unsolved now for the better part of 20 years.
Yeah.
A little more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we were in high school when that happened, and we had talked at one point about doing an episode about that, but we decided not to because the families are still in the area, and it's about being respectful. Obviously, we would be respectful, but it did really affect us. One of the reasons I've been thinking about it a lot lately is because when we were done recording an episode recently, you told me your brother had heard that there was going to be something on the news, a big announcement.
Right.
So we watched that together, and it didn't really say much other than there was some new movement in the case. And so, of course, we're really hoping that this will be solved. Now, there's a couple things that I've been thinking about a lot since then. And I guess it got me thinking about not so much how people are affected by the whole idea of true crime.
There was a guitar on that guy's back.
I saw that. He's got a gig.
Yeah, good for him. Sorry.
he's racing to get there at 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon.
Talk about dedication. Just real quick, dedication. It's hard to find people dedicated to the craft.
Hustle.
Anybody biking in the middle of the day on a Sunday with a guitar on their back.
Grinding, as they say, rise and grind and all sorts of dumb stuff.
Sorry, yeah.
No. It's all right. But it's just in the wake of that, I went down this rabbit hole again because I remember it sounds weird. They were killed in the wee hours of a morning. I was out with a girlfriend at the time, Or the next day, we went mini golfing. I remember that. We were mini golfing behind the Dairy Queen. I know you know where I'm referring to.
As one does.
She was the only person I knew at that time who had a cell phone.
Yeah, that's true.
This would have been 2002, 2003. And she got a phone call. And it's around this time of day. It's just like around 11, around noon. And we immediately went to the town. The names were Scott and Sean. That's all I'll say. If you know us, you know what we're talking about. I don't want to talk about the case specifically, but I was talking to our friend Chris, who's been on, about the whole thing, and he reminded me that it was a friend of his, and I was acquainted with the guy too. His name was Brian. His sister was the woman that found the bodies. They were found on a roadside, and she called it in. She had a cell phone because she worked at Verizon Wireless at the time. Or she worked at a call center that would become Verizon Wireless. I don't know if it was Verizon
at the time. It might have been Cell One still.
Right.
I know the place you're talking about.
Yeah, I ended up, two things. One, obviously I was aware of her because I knew her brother. I would later on work security at that call center. Right. So it's like all these little things are interconnected. You grew up in the town where they lived, and didn't you ride one of their buses?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just like all these things, there's a lot of connections. And when you and I watched that news thing after we were done recording an episode, I went down this rabbit hole, and the first thing I thought, I think I shared with you, is this. Because of how old we are, we were a grade ahead of these two. Not that much older.
Right.
Because of the size of the places we're talking about. Now, our high school had a large graduating class. There was around between 850 and 900 people that graduated in our class. So that's large, but the towns that we lived in were fairly small.
It's a lot of small towns put together kind of thing.
Yeah, like your town had just over 1,000 people, I think.
Yeah.
And mine had just under 1,000 people, but it was buttressed right up against another town that was like 5,000 people, which is fairly good size in this area. Anyhow, because of our age, because they were likely killed by somebody in their peer group, because that's usually how these things are, I thought, and because of the size of the places we're from, I thought there's a really good chance that if this is solved, that we're going to know the people responsible.
Yeah. That's kind of always been that's kind of always been one of the things I think freaks a lot of people out beyond just the tragedy itself, is like there are at least one person, if not more people out there who know, and we probably know them.
Yeah.
Or know of them, not like
right.
not like friends,
but it could be, but it also could be someone you know really well. And I've always gone back to you watch and you read true crime stuff, and they interview people that knew the person, like, we had no idea. Right. There is like this part of me that feels like, am I being like? It seems really selfish to be like, am I going to have that experience? Like,
I always feel like I'm missing something when it comes to a lot of things in life. So like I can understand the feeling you're talking about of like if I was more observant, like could I solve it? Like not even like could I solve it, but just like if there was more awareness to these kinds of things, would people?
Is there some information you could have shared
at the time that could actually help? Yeah, like did we if we know that, if we know someone who knows someone or whatever, did we hear something at a party or at a show or like over, and just like didn't connect it or something or whatever?
Absolutely. And I've thought about this a lot because, again, like I said, I had a couple conversations with the one youth, Scott. My mom claims that my sister went to a dance with him. I don't know if that's true, because a lot of people try to insert themselves in these things, and I'm trying very hard
not to,
to make sure that I'm not saying anything. That's the closest I'll get to that, is that's what my mom has claimed. I had a couple conversations with the Scott kid. I was familiar with him. I think he had come to a house party that we had at my house.
But also, like, not unique. A lot of people did. So
a lot of people did. Yeah. But again, anybody, if it's somebody from our age group in the region, there's a really good chance we knew the person or were acquainted with the person. But there's also like the chance that it's somebody you knew fairly well. And I'm just going like, if I want this to be solved, for a lot of reasons, but what if it is somebody you, like, and then you go back and you think of like all the years and every experience you had with that person and how tainted every experience would be. I've been thinking about that. I've also watched a few YouTube people and a couple podcast people talk about Scott and Sean. And it's really interesting to see how people outside
that are out of that bubble.
They have no connection to it. Excuse me. And I have no problem with them doing the research and putting this out there. I haven't heard anything that was super egregious, like, no, that is not the case at all.
Same. I feel like everything I've come across has been, I would say, above board, respectful, and pretty much the story that we all know. It's not, which, if anything, is actually a little bit of a testament to some of these true crime podcasts. Like, they're not like, at least, anecdotally, they seem to be doing research and seem to be, trying to be respectful and, no red flags in that sense, which is good. But no new information, which is frustrating, because that's why I think I usually watch those or listen to them when we come across them. Because it's like, what if they have information that is new to us, So
there are 3 in the area of the county we live in, because Brendan and I have lived in the same county for some time. There are 3 big unsolved mysteries. One just reached its 40th anniversary.
Was it 40?
Yeah.
I guess it was.
1986.
Yeah.
A young girl. I worked for, the wife of the guy I worked for rode that young girl's school bus. It was on the school bus that day.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Another happened the year prior, 1985, in the town where I essentially grew up. A teenager disappeared during her job and almost certainly abducted.
That's one of those no, I agree. That's something's fishy.
Neither of these are being solved. So those 2 are in the 40-year mark, 40 and 41 years at the time of this recording, respectfully. And of course,
I hadn't thought about that. No, you're right. I hadn't thought about that, though.
As years go by, it's, of course, it's less and less likely that these things will be solved. That's been the story for a long, long time. However, one of the things that gives me pause and gives me hope, of course, is that one of our Dr. Pennsylvania episodes, one of our most popular, most viewed Dr. Pennsylvania episodes was about the boy in the box. And, of course, the identity of that boy has been solved in very recent years. So I hold out that I want all these things to be solved because I do believe in justice as a real thing.
Agreed.
And the unfortunate thing is, like, the longer things go on, these days it's not so much that they can't be solved or more unlikely to be solved, because the way science has advanced, we've seen these sort of crimes be solved. It's just that after so many years, there's going to be little in the way of any real justice. Meaningful justice.
That's a good point. Well, and the crazy thing is like, just, I hadn't thought about that with the whole 20 years versus 40 years thing. Like,
a little more in 20 years now.
Like, like, part of me, like, I think a lot of people had this experience where you're like, okay, like, someone knows what's up, so eventually something's going to slip and, something's going to happen. And you're going to get it figured out. So, like, the fact that it's this particular crime has been 20 years is kind of crazy. But, like, in my head, I was like, we'll eventually find out. But then you hear about, like, these other ones that have made it to 40 years, and it's like, oh, geez, I can't imagine this getting to 40. But I guess statistically, absolutely could.
It's definitely possible. It's wild to me, going down the true crime thing. This video is going to have so many shots
I know,
of
it's
the
going to be
ceiling
great.
of
It's
your
going to
truck.
be great. I know, I need to get a little section up for these kind of shows.
Anyhow, one of the true crime things, that is also encouraging to me, but at the same time disappointing, is that so many of these crimes are ultimately solved because a new person, a new investigator comes on, they're reinvigorated, and they notice like glaring things that weren't followed up on, or anecdotes, stories, testimonies that were dismissed early on in the case. And I wonder if that's going to be a situation here. But I mean,
kind of hope so, because it sounds like with the case that we're speaking of, it has a new lead investigator that's been assigned to it as just a result of like normal churn in the state police and everything. But there's a lot of unsolved crimes out there, so I mean, this is one in probably a long list, you know.
yeah.
But you would hope that that new attention would bear some fruit, you know.
It was July 17th, 2002. So we're coming on a quarter century.
Yeah, which is nuts.
And again, you know, we're in our early 40s. Anybody, the person that did this, the person or the people that committed this, they're almost certainly in the same age group. And I'll say this, we went to school with some real scumbags.
Yeah.
Everybody has them.
Right.
But here's another thing I often wonder about. Yeah, you're a scumbag, but to be a scumbag at like 17.
Right.
You could, what if you totally turned your life around? People can change.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So there's a non-zero possibility that this person changes their life, turn it around as a productive, functional member of society, and is
even has really a lot of regrets.
Yeah,
a lot
like
of remorse.
could be very legitimate. Like again, we're not.
Here's another thing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that.
You know, every couple weeks we have to refer back to the invisible gorilla. You know how it talked about you tell a story so many times, and then you convince yourself you're in that story.
Right.
What if after so many years you've convinced yourself that you didn't do something?
Yeah, like the opposite is true.
Right. Yeah. What if this person is like a totally genuinely good person now that did a really, really terrible thing?
Yeah.
There's no way dismissing. But after 25 years, they've convinced themselves that was just some fantasy they had.
That was just a bad night that happened.
Because the story...
Or maybe along with that line, I wonder if maybe there was two people, you know, and maybe like, you know, what's the opposite of a shared hallucination? Is that a thing? Where you can both like decide that it didn't happen collectively, and that feeds into each other. So like if you both decide it didn't happen,
right? It's shared denial.
Shared denial, basically. Yeah. I wonder if that's psychological. I wonder if that's a thing. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but
I also don't know. I just, and all of this is very speculative, but the actual scene. So they were killed along a roadside. One of them may have been hit by a car. They both weren't hit by a car.
Right.
So maybe it started as an accident. I mean, again, this is stuff that's already... Maybe it started as an accident and escalated.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really believes that, though. But again, it's an awful story, and it's one of the reasons why we don't delve into true crime a lot, because again, even though like I'm not going to pretend like I was friends with these two, it did affect how I looked at a lot of things, and I never really, until this recent rabbit hole, I hadn't considered that. And again, I think you're a little closer because you were closer proximally to everything.
Right. It was just over a few hills. Yeah.
Just a few miles, if that.
Yeah. Well, and like the crazy thing is too is it's like, especially at that age, you know, we're all teenagers, you know.
Yeah.
And it always seems like stuff like that is stuff that happens at other schools, you know. Like at the time
I had turned 18 exactly 1 month before.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's just like it was a real harsh reality check at the very least.
Yeah.
You know,
because we had other classmates die.
Right, but it was most of those were either accidents or overdoses. You know,
accidents, overdoses. There was at least one cancer.
Well, yeah. But like, but it just like, yeah, it just didn't seem. It was so strange at the time because you're like, someone knows, like someone's gonna figure it out.
That's the thing.
And again, like I still like, again, maybe this is the fallacy on my end, but I'm like, no, people can't keep secrets, generally speaking.
Right.
And I do believe that, and that's why it's so weird that it hasn't come out yet. It's like, well,
right, because what if more people than were immediately involved do know and still haven't reported?
Yeah.
What does that say about the situation? What does it say about their feelings about Scott and Sean, or what does it say about their feelings about whomever is responsible?
Right.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, it's hard to put yourself in any of those people's shoes, like realistically. But like, ugh, I don't know.
So I imagine listening to this, if you're not familiar with the case, is probably sounds like we're just kind of meandering. And in a degree,
no one has ever accused us of meandering.
Indeed, not. But to kind of just trim the fat.
Mm-hmm.
2 young men, grade or 2 below us in high school, killed in the wee hours of the morning along a country road, just outside of, well, just a couple miles from your house. I knew the brother of the woman who found the bodies, who called it into the police. That's as close a connection, other than a few conversations and going to the same school, that I will draw. We had mutual friends because when I was out mini golfing with my girlfriend at the time, who the only youth I knew had a cell phone. She got a call. We drove down to the town. It was a really weird thing, and I think we spent the rest of the weekend essentially in that town. Hey dear.
Hey dear.
And ever since then, it was just, I felt for sure that this was going to be solved in the time that we were still in high school.
Right.
As we were heading into our senior year.
It's one of those things too where it's like, to kind of bring it back to the folklore element and everything, I'd love to know what people, if at all, people in town that like weren't around back then, what they hear and think about too. Like you were mentioning with how it's interesting hearing other podcasts have their perspectives, or true crime, YouTube channels or whatever, hearing other perspectives on it. I'd be curious to know what people who weren't around back then, either because they were too young or didn't live in the area.
Right, it could be a 25-year-old.
Right, exactly. Like what they hear about it now, or what they think about it.
Yeah.
Because like this is how folklore starts in a lot of ways. Is you have these awful tragedies. We talk about them all the time with ghost stories.
And when we don't know the answers, and we don't know answers enough. Speculation breeds.
That's what I'm curious about.
Like again, we've been conjecturing a bit here, but
well, yeah, it is. It's so sad, and that's why again, like when we talk about a lot of ghost stories and folklore, like even when we're having fun with it and everything, we do love the history of it, the culture, and like what it tells us about human existence and life and everything. It's always. Not always, but it's typically rooted in tragedy. And that's something I think that you don't want to forget, because I think it does a disservice to the people who lived through it, or didn't live through it, or are still living through it.
Yeah, and is tangentially connected.
Right.
As we are. Again, like I said, this is we talked about talking about this before. We opted not to. Because we wanted to make sure we could be respectful about things. It heightened all of our concerns about how do we think, how are we presenting things, and in a way that's been good. But yeah, I guess that's it. I guess there's a sort of person that hasn't had those sort of experiences. Like I can't even begin to imagine, because there's right now on the news, you remember one of the sisters. Who is the younger sister.
Yes. Yep.
I can't pretend to know
what that must be like.
Oh my God.
Can't even imagine.
Absolutely not. It would be insulting for me to even say. So if you hadn't experienced that, or even just the limited experience where like, oh, you're directly affected by this terrible thing, even though you're not a family member, you know, particularly close, the shadow looms large. I think there's a sort of person, if you haven't had that experience, is fascinated by true crime because not only the novelty, but also a desire to try to understand, or maybe a voyeuristic thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can make peace with that, though. I definitely, there is a really crass and ugly, we've all seen it, where people are clearly just capitalizing
It
on
kind of it's exploitive,
Yeah. I've been happy that at least all the little documentaries and things I've seen, like the most egregious things are kind of like mischaracterizing a little bit, like they use personalities and who they were.
Right.
And again, like I said earlier, some people were sketchy, but also to be like really sketchy when you're a young kid,
right?
Like you haven't even started living. Really.
Yeah. Well, also at the same time too, I feel like most people are a little sketchy at that age.
My God. You know? Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just like like saying kids are into one thing or another, like it's an indicator of something, isn't necessarily accurate. I think.
But one of the things I guess I'm walking away with is knowing what I know, having been there, and you know, being an affected member of the community, not only the towns, the school, the peer group, age group, all that jazz, having friends that were friends with them, being a member in that way, and watching these and listening to people talk about the story, it's been encouraging to me how many people are getting it right. And so I hope that I can take this experience and extend it and be like, I can be interested in this without celebrating tragedy. I can be interested in this and not feel guilty.
No, I think that's a good point, and I also think too that there's always that little bit of hope in me that someone will hear a story and make like a connection. Like it's the idea of like faces on milk cartons, and stuff like that, and just like making sure people are aware of it, but like really because you never know. Like
and again, because our friends listen. Thank you, friends. Our friends listen, and there's a good chance that other people in our immediate area listen,
right? Because
of those connections, and and maybe somebody that knows something like hasn't had to see the image of like the young sister,
right? Exactly.
On the TV, still like so I don't. Maybe a little thing like that is
what tips the scale.
Exactly.